Hello, I'm Harry Stachini and you are listening to the Staff Room Podcast, the show where each week I share anonymous stories from teachers who are overworked, underpaid and close to a mental breakdown. So think of it as teacher therapy, as they remind us of all the troublemakers, class clowns and the flat-out criminals we all remember from school. So join me and my guests and hear what your teachers really have to say. And we're off. Episode number 9 of the Staff Room Podcast. How's it going, everyone? I hope you're well. I mean, the pubs are reopened, so I imagine a lot of people are feeling a massive bit of relief. I mean, I certainly am. I've been looking forward to it for a while. I met up with my mum on Monday, went to a Wetherspoons beer garden to have my first drink. It was great. I actually saw a guy who was sat alone on a table and impressively sank half his pint within one gulp and then looked at a pigeon and went, "Oh, I needed that." And he put a big smile on my face because I thought, everyone's dealt with lockdown in different ways, but that was his way of just, getting rid of all that stress and tension, sinking half a pint and then having a chat with a pigeon. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Now, before we get into this week's episode, I actually need to ask for a bit of help, right? I am currently on the hunt for some more teachers' stories because I'm starting to burn through the piggy bank that I've been storing up. So if you're a teacher and you enjoy listening to the podcast and you've maybe been umming and ahhing for a few weeks if to send a story in or not, please do, right? I can promise you, since the first episode, I've not had any issues with the stories I've put out. There's been no backlash, no one's got in touch like, "You bastard, you've ruined my job." There's been no issues. So, if you're a teacher and you want to send a story in, please just drop an email to staffroompod@gmail.com. As I say, it's 100% anonymous and it'll be a good laugh. If you might know a teacher, you could share with them your favourite episode of the podcast and, get them to then get the creative juices going in their head. They can drop me a story. And if you don't know a teacher, what you could do is just share it online, on your socials, whether it be your favourite episode or just the podcast in general, and just saying that I'm looking for stories. And if you could do that and just add in the email address staffroompod@gmail.com, I would greatly appreciate it because I want to keep bringing your episodes. And I've got enough to keep me going for a few weeks, but I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, it's like when the warning light on your petrol tank comes on, you know what I mean? Like that's on at this moment in time. And it'd be nice to kind of get back over the halfway mark. So yeah, if you're enjoying the podcast and you want to help me out, I would greatly appreciate if you could do any of them 3 things by getting your stories into me. So yeah, the story that I've got for you today is coming from a teacher who seems like they are a proper laugh. I mean, they've sent me a story about the time they went on a school trip to Rome with years 8 and 10. And it's got a little bit of everything in it, right? They talk about the good old days of school trips and how the school trips that kids go on now are nothing like they were in the past. They're talking to me a little bit about the hotel problems they had there. Kids tearing the rooms up. Teachers having to be on night watch, which I didn't even know was a thing. You've actually got to sit out in a corridor and make sure that no one's going into each other's rooms and trying anything on. And there's also, the head teacher who features in quite a few of the stories I've had now. There's always a head teacher who definitely seems like a bit of a knobhead. And this has got one as well. And there's one student at the centrepiece of this who shines through. Sound very interesting, but I imagine it won't take you long to figure out who I'm referring to. But I'll let all of that come out within the story. So thank you very much to the teacher that sent this one in. I appreciate the fact that it seems like this podcast is providing a nice outlet for you. So thank you very much for getting the story in because it was great. And the first one I've had that's coming from a school trip. So if any of the teachers are listening and they might have a story from their school trip experience, send it in to me. It'd be nice to get a bit of a range. I've not had one yet from a parents' evening as well, which I don't know. I imagine some of my parents' evenings were all right. To be honest, my dad used to embarrass me, but I don't know. Is there a teacher out there who's got anything really brutal where they've put the kid down or something like that, or the parents kicked off of them? I don't know. If you do, let me know because I would love to hear it. Now, my guest for this week is Jamie Hutchinson, who is someone I've worked with loads of times within comedy. I mean, we've both seen each other do really well in rooms, and then we've both seen each other where afterwards you come off and you're like, I can see what you were trying to do there. It's not quite landed, but I could see what you were trying to do. So we've had some laughs, and it's great to have him on the show. Jamie actually won Manchester Comedian of the Year a few years back, and was nominated for the Leicester Mercury Award, which is a massive award. So really, really good to have him on the show. And he's an open book when it comes to his school days. I mean, we dive proper deep into him. He tells me about the fact that in his primary school days, he went from being this timid kid to kind of like hitting his prime in year 5 and 6. That's when he says himself he's peaked in life, years 5 and 6. We also talk about the fact that there's a love saga story to Jamie's school days, which, introduced him to the world of heartache. But, if he's in his prime at year 5 and 6, you've got to understand this kid was a heartthrob, right? He was a hit with the women. So, yeah, I look forward to hearing about that. Then Jamie also drops in about his school days within secondary school and how things started to change for him, and then how he was handed an award by a teacher that was brutal. There's no other way to say it. It was absolutely brutal, but I'll let Jamie tell you more about that within the episode. I'll just quickly say that we did have a bit of a technical issue when recording this, so apologies if the sound is a bit crackly. But let's get cracking. This is me, Jamie Hutchinson, and a school trip to Rome. Enjoy. Can I just say as well, I actually shared your shoe story on episode 5 with Lauren Patterson. Yeah, it was ace, because like it's interesting because every guest I have on, I enjoy like finding out about what the school days are like. But like you said, you listened to one with Callum. I was surprised that Callum was a bit of a shit in school. I would never have thought that. I thought he would have been popular, but not in any way, difficult. But then, yeah, I suppose. In your school days, I imagine as you were probably a bit of a gobshite.
Mate, I completely transformed, mate. I went from Awesome Car to a Ferrari in school.
Right, okay. Hang on, is this like from year 8 to year 11, or do you mean from leaving?
From primary. So primary, I was a proper timid, really, really scared kid. Like, to a point where I was scared of mashed potato.
Right, okay. Even though it's being mashed as well, it's not even hard.
Yeah, I was fucking. I say if mashed potato was served, I was that weird about mash that I used to have my own table. But then one day, Craig Pearson came up and he was like showing himself chewing loads of mash and just threw up everywhere. I've never had mash, and it's still, that's like the burning genesis of me psychological problems. So primary school, really timid, and I thought I need it. Even at a very young age, I thought I need a USP here. I'm drifting into nothingness. So I was one of them kids, mate, where I was jealous of people who had asthma.
What, because they had a thing, you know what I mean?
Like, fucking hell, lucky bastard.
Yeah, 2 puffs over there.
Getting taken away in an ambulance, you stuffy twat. That's going to get some sympathy. So I needed a thing. Now, when I was 8, I've not really shared this before or talked about it, but I lied to the police and said I witnessed an armed robbery.
Right, okay.
So on our street there was a pawn shop 2 doors down from our house, and I was playing out or whatever. And when I came in, I was a bit late. When let's say you're due in at 6 or whatever for your tea, I was a bit late. I was like half an hour, 45 minutes late, and I came in. If I was late, usually they'd just say, "What time do you call this?" or whatever. But I came in this day, and like my parents like visibly shook. And when parents are panicked and they couldn't find the kid,
yeah,
it's like that mix of relief but anger, and the relief comes out as anger. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I took that as just anger. I didn't see the subtlety of it. Now, what had happened? The reason why there was relief stroke angered was there was an armed robbery at the shop that was on our street.
Right, so this is what you've just made up.
No, not what I've made up. What actually happened.
Right. Okay.
And then she went, "There's been a robbery at Joe's. I thought you was involved. I was worried about." So then I, why? And she said, "Why are you so late?" And I went, "Oh, I saw what happened, so I hid behind a car." And I thought, buzzing, got away with that. 2 days later, my dad's taking me to the police station to give a statement. It's like, oh my God. So,
oh wow.
So I'm going to the police station to give this statement, mate, and it's in like it was in like an interview, but loads of soft furniture. It's like a living room, basically. To make it. There's like
a bit more calm.
Child psychology expert there, and mate, I swear to God, I just come up with so much fucking bullshit, mate. I was there, and I didn't know what the phrase armed robbery meant, and I thought he meant axe robbery. Right. So I'm there with the police. I'm like, yeah, and they're telling me like it's important to tell the truth and all that. And Joe, they're not talking straight about the crime or anything. They're just talking to me as a person to get stuff off
Yeah, they're talking about morals.
Yeah, my dad's in the double glass, like where you can see.
Yeah.
So my dad's with a police. He said I was with a policeman either side of me, and I was watching you. Do you know what I mean? But I weren't allowed in the room with you. And then I go, and he said, do you feel safe on your street or anything? Do you feel safe when you go and play out on your street? And I went, yeah. Well, my dad's got a gun in his drawer, so. And my dad went, oh, what the
fuck? Banging on the glass.
But then I started making up this story, mate. I went, yeah, saw it all. God, yeah.
Hang on. So hang on. When you mentioned the gun, did they just brush over that? Like, yeah, we know about that, but we want to find.
They knew I was lying. Yeah, they could.
Right. Okay.
Because I said, yeah. They went, have you ever been to a police station before? And anything? I went, well, me and my dad do go-kart races here and back from my house. Just loads of bollocks, mate. And anyway, so now they're talking about what I saw. I was playing out, and I saw some men go in, and then they hit him with the axe. No axe, mate.
Bloody hell!
So I got a bit of a lecture about telling the truth for that, but that sort of brought me out my shell a bit. And that was when I was about 8. Then a big break happened for me, Anna, school-wise. This is so when I was in primary school, jealous of kids with asthma, weren't that great at football, weren't bad at football or anything, but that can get you social status number 1, being good at footy or being hard.
Yeah.
Didn't have any obvious ailments, which I was gutted about because I thought that's a free hit. So I wanted to be the guy that was known for being good at his times tables and that. I went,
you seen Rain Man over there on the ball.
Uchi's all right. You know, 7 times 9, he's all right. So, and then I got this urge to start writing. When we was writing in year 4, I was the first one onto pens. So I'm like, I'm in. Do you know that when you
pen license? Yeah, mate. Yeah.
I'm like, listen, I'm on pens in October. Here. I'm fucking flat. I'm 1 term in. I'm on ink.
I was last one on pens, me, mate. Spent most years eating them.
We had this writing test, and I just writing a story, and I'd written an episode of The Simpsons. Like a 10-minute sketch or whatever.
Yeah.
And then my teacher absolutely loved it. So I started writing, and I used to write an episode of The Simpsons during my dinner breaks, and then we'd all act it out on a Friday at the end of the... So I was writing plays at 9.
Is that SNL?
So I was writing Simpsons episodes at 9. Anyway.
Was that your big break then?
No, because I was still socially quite timid and stuff.
Right.
But that was my expression. Do you know what I mean? I can be Homer Simpson for an afternoon. So, big break, year 5. Year 5 was a massive year, right? in year 5, I had to move school in year 5. From primary school to a different school.
Right, yeah. So you're still going from one primary to another, though.
Yeah, because my mum and dad, my mum and my gran had an argument over my dad's nose.
Right, okay.
And there was various aftershocks, one of which was me moving to a different school.
Right.
Because my gran was caretaker of the school, and my mum was like, "Oh, you're not seeing Jamie and all that." And then I went to a different school.
Right, okay.
Different school, year 5, and that is when I went from Jamie to Hutchie.
Big difference there, mate.
And that was, I had a rebrand.
Yeah. Jamie's a lad that's good at his times tables. Hutchie can play right wing. That's the difference, isn't it?
I had a rebrand, and I got to be naughty, and through being a bit naughty, I got more popular.
Right, it tends to be the case. Loudest one in the room tends to get the most attention.
Yeah, my teacher had curly hair for a pencil, and it stuck in her hair, and that was like an iconic moment. So,
did she know?
Eventually, yeah.
Right, okay, yeah.
She was that
because I went up to go and sharpen it.
Right, fuck off. She told me off, and then turned around to write my name on the board, and went fuck off. So that was
right, okay.
That was my genesis into being a bit gobshite, a bit naughty. But at the same time, I was always a bit of a scruffy kid. So I used to like to chew my jumper and that.
Right, okay.
Right.
So hang on. So you started off quiet, then you went to like bit of a gobshite and a class clown. But were you always funny at school?
Yeah.
Right, okay, because I was laughing my head off at the fact Callum was voted second funniest. I didn't know they gave out them awards, but yeah, you were funny at school.
I think I had more sophisticated humour than most people. I think I was a bit more sarcastic because there was people who were like funny in terms of doing, like fucking spraying a fire extinguisher all over the place. Yeah. That kind of school hijinks. Whereas I was, quite refined, funny man. quite refined class clown, I think.
Right. Okay. Doing like wordplay and all sorts. Yeah. Did you get that, guys? Did you get
Yeah.
Bit of prop, Yeah.
Heckling with puns.
Hey, why are you at this school? Keep your nose out of it, all right?
Doing satire and Missy trying to read Great Expectations.
Yeah.
But even in high school, because even in high school, I had a split personality, and I kind of still do now, to be honest. So in some lessons, if you spoke to some of my classmates, it was a really big school. So if you speak to like classmates from drama, they'd say I was a bit of a nerd because I loved it. It was a bit of, something I wanted to get into. Whereas if you spoke to someone, whoever did maths or whatever, you'd say, no, he's one of the lads kind of thing. So I even had a split image across even high school in that time. Right. One thing that happened, year 8, this was mega. This was my first step into heartbreak.
Right, okay. Here we go. Right. Dim the lights. Here we go.
So the genesis of the story starts with my rebrand. Jamie Hutchinson comes to your school, age 9. He's a bad boy. He's blonde. He's fit.
He's blonde?
I was blonde.
Right, okay. For the benefit of the listener, Jamie has, I'd say, strawberry blonde hair, but it's more red than it is blonde.
It's now, yeah. Acceptance is the first stage of overcoming grief, and I can say it's ginger. I was more blonde, and I still got called ginger and everything. And if you got a Julius coloured shirt, you'd probably say it's more ginger still. But in my head, then I was blonde. I was this blonde, blue-eyed bad boy. So I was fancied by a couple of girls, which is very strange to hear because I'm not Right, I've not
Don't put
aged.
yourself down here, Jamie. Do not put yourself down here, pal.
Listen, I've not aged well. I'm glad this is released on an audio medium, right?
But what are you, 29? Or you 30 now? 30 now, right, okay.
I've had a tough couple of decades.
So your heyday was year 5, is that what you said?
No, this girl fancied me. She was obsessed. She was obsessed with me because someone had found that she'd written about me in a diary and all that, and she got picked on a bit for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you fancy a boy? That's gay. But she didn't have the social status. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like, you know, like when royalty don't go into the working classes. When we, you know,
right, but you're putting yourself in royalty here, or is she royalty? Right, you're royalty.
Socially, I'm an aristocrat. And, you know, I'm like, look, listen, if it was up to me, it'd be on, but I can't. You know, I won't get this passed. It's a PR night. I said it's a PR nightmare. I'm not going back to my times tables days. So she fancied me, but I fancied this other girl called Amy, right? And we was starting to get on, but you know, never asked her out because you know, it's still that overcoming asking your first girl out, right? And even in my head, then I thought I can't just ask her out. It's Amy. This is, you know, she's got some. She can colour in with the best of them. A simple, you know, a simple kind of sit with you. It's not going to wash with someone like her.
No,
she knows a way around a Crayola box. Right. So the school nativity is coming up, right? Now I'm cast as the narrator, obviously, because I'm brilliant. She's in the choir, right? So after every scene, the choir sing a Christmas carol or a hymn or whatever. And every time I got up, I was looking at her for comfort. Do you know when you do it and it's not going great, but you make eye contact with someone who's really enjoying it, and that's like your comfort.
Yeah, I get you.
That's what was happening. It was like a struggling new material gig. Do you know what I mean? Trying to make a little joke on Bethlehem and Nazareth and really land. I think there was a couple of Bethlehem people in that didn't take too kind to it. So a bit under the cosh, but I've still got half an hour to go. I was like, right, just play to Amy. Do you know what I mean? Play to Amy. Right, and that's that comfort. And we're smiling at each other throughout the thing. Right? I swear to God, Harry, right? I saved myself from the worst moment of humankind. And I was this close to doing something so bad, I'd probably be put in front of the Hague on war crimes. But in my head, I built this up so much to ask her out that I wanted, when I was wrapping the nativity up and all that, in my head, I had planned to say, that's not what's Christmas about, the nativity. Christmas is about family. It's about love. And I love Amy.
Oh my God. Yeah, mate, if you'd done that, that would have been, end of school life for you.
That's what I had planned, mate. I swear to God, that's what I had planned. And I just bottled it at the last minute. But I was looking at I was looking at her when I was wrapping up. I was looking at her, and it's like the words won't. It's like my throat was saying, "Is he fucking mad? No way, no way." Anyway, so stop myself from asking her out. Now after the show, right? You know, it's like green room groupies.
Everyone's stood around you, you jammy dodgers. Yeah, all right.
Her mate comes up to me and she goes, and now in hindsight, I realise what's happened. But she's come up to me, Callie, and she's gone, do you fancy Amy or something? Fancy Amy? Oh, what? No. we're just friends. And she went, yeah, well, she don't like you anyway. I went, yeah, I don't like her. And then the friendship kind of just drifted and ended, really. But 2 years later, so one thing to note, in our high school, we had two halves of the year. We had X and Y. So X did French, Y did Spanish. That was the main difference. So year 6, the nativity, and then from January to the end of school in July or whatever it is, me and Amy kind of drifted. I'm like, this is just drifting into nothingness. So I'm right. And then when the draw comes out, she's an X and I'm in Y. Now, in high school, that's like Montagues and Capulets. Never, ever be allowed. It's just, it's not, it's Israel, Palestine. It's just
forbidden love.
Yeah, he's an X, him, level him. That's what the difference was, right? And year 8, again, I start off my school life a little bit of a trampy geek, a little bit of a scruff, getting away, getting by, and being funny. I'm pretty bottom middle. I could drip it. I could get a European place. I could get relegated. I've just got to ride the wave year 7, year 8. So I'm at dinner. I turn around with my tray, and Amy's there with her mate Naomi. Naomi's one of the cooler kids. Because Amy's shot up. She started like brilliant. I went, fuck it, fair play. She's come from like mid-table obscurity. She's doing a Leicester. She's going.
Yeah.
I turn round, and Amy nudges Naomi, and she says, loud enough so I can hear, "Do you see him there? I used to fancy him like mad in year 6. I'm like, oh. She'd sent Callie to go and get a feeler. And then, I've got that maturity of a 12-year-old now, where I can see that was the naivety of a 10-year-old. I can see now the world makes a bit more sense. So I'm about to turn around and tell her that I fancied her too. As I turned round, Naomi went, "She thinks you're fucking ugly now, though."
As you say, mate, you peaked in year 5 and 6.
I was fucking done.
That's hilarious. The story that I've actually got for today, right, as coming from a teacher who was on a school trip, right, and the guest I've had on, I've been trying to pair to the stories I'm getting, and I like the fact this school trip's an international one. And I thought it'd be good to share it with you because I know you're not a massive fan of travelling, are you?
I hate holidays. I hate views. You know what? I hate views. So when someone fucking asks about climbing up 4 hours up Mount Snowdon, take a picture and go, yeah, but look at the view. Fuck the view, Google it.
Yeah. We had a proper chat about this in the car one time. I remember going to a gig, and it's just not for me. Like going here, there, and everywhere. But did you have any school trips from school before I get into this, or did you always opt out of them?
Yeah, I went to Barcelona in year 7, and caused me. I had a PR nightmare. PR night. At the end of year 7, and I'd grafted because I was a really small kid. Easy to get picked on. I'd grafted through being funny in that. What got me through to the end of year 7 was I was coming out, and the office hard kid, Piggy,
that was his nickname, Piggy.
Yeah, so I'm scared to talk about him now, mate. He had like dead pig-like eyes, like a shark.
And little trotters and a curly tail.
Yeah. So I'm coming downstairs. I was a bit gobby as a year 7. I was a bit of a gobshite, and in class and all that. And I come down, and he's an X. Do you know what I mean? He's like the cock of X. So I'm coming down, and he goes, "Are you Jamie Hutchinson?" I go, "Oh no. Well, if I slag Piggy off, how does he even know who I am?" And he's surrounded by his cronies, right? And he went, "I think I'm gonna get sued in for me Dr. Pepper there." And he goes, "I heard you do impressions." I'm like, yeah, I do. And then he says to me, looks at me, then he went, go on then. So then I do an impromptu 5 spot. And you think stand-up's fucking nerve-wracking. This is performance, mate.
What, to the year 8 mafia?
So I'm doing like impressions of the teachers and that. And it's just, Brummie teacher doing a Brummie accent, Scouse teacher doing the Scouse accent, that kind of thing. Nothing too sophisticated. And he's not laughed once. And at the end he goes, you're all right, you. So then I had a bit of security. So then I got away with it. My status gradually grew. And we went to Barcelona. My PR crumbled because I was scared. I was scared of my mum. I'm going to Barcelona. Now, we're a skint family, so going to Barcelona is a bit of a big deal, do you know what I mean? So she's borrowed a suitcase off me nana. On the suitcase, the metal logo of the suitcase, like the brand, she had a Pokemon sticker.
Right. So she knows it's hers.
Yeah. So it was like a little wasp one. It weren't even a good one. It was like a wasp one, like Karanka. Was it called Karanka or something? I don't know.
I don't know, mate. Yeah.
One of the really shit bug ones, right? Not a shiny or anything.
Not as she had as hard, mate, no.
So she stuck it on. For context, I'm someone who does practical jokes and things like that. She's made me believe I've won the lottery twice. She's a fucking nightmare. So she goes to it, now, whatever you do not lose that Pokemon sticker. Because, the Spanish are famous for their black market Pokemon sticker deals. So, go to Barcelona, I'm sharing room with my friends and stuff. Like, one night, come back, and my mates has ripped that sticker off. And I got so anxious about it, I burst out crying, and I was inconsolable that I'd lost this sticker, because I'm thinking I'd get battered off my mum for losing this.
You get shooed in, as you say.
So he's like, fucking cries over Pokemon. So my PR fucking hit the ground. Also on that trip, we had a flood in our hotel room. Now, you weren't allowed to go in each other's rooms. It was a dead strict rule. My mate had a shower and flooded the room. So my mate from another room came in to see the damage. Like, what's going on here? And my mate Ziggy, it was all flooded. And then a teacher was coming to check it out. So Ziggy hid in the wardrobe for 3 hours while the teacher and the hotel staff sorted out this flood.
That's a lot of the stuff that you're saying there kind of features within this, because I'll give you context to it, right? It's a school trip, and it's coming from a teacher who was on this trip, and it talks about a head teacher who was a bit of a nightmare, but the teacher who sent it in does seem a bit of a laugh, right? So I'll get cracking with it, and if anything jumps out, feel free to jump in. So hello, the staff room. School trips are minefields for teachers for a lot of reasons. Back in the day, you could take 20 kids to France, buy knives, fireworks, and then all get shit-faced on the free wine at tea time and have a good sing-song. Then when the kids had gone to bed, you could start the serious drinking. These were the days when the kids knew not to wake the teachers before 9 a.m. and all was good. When I first read that, first bit they sent in, that sounded like a stag do to me. You know what I mean? That didn't sound like a school trip. That sounded like a stag do, like a year 10's got married and they're going, all right, we'll tie it in with a trip.
Yeah. Back in the day when they had a crash in the strippers.
Yeah. Trying to do your own work under dim light in a nightclub. Right, so school trips these days are extracurricular activities, which shows you just how much fun they aren't. The most recent trip I went on was to Rome with year 8 and 10. The head teacher had said anyone who wants to come on the trip could. It was a nice idea in theory, as for some, this would be their first trip abroad and would be an experience. As you said there, first time we went to Barcelona on that school trip.
Yeah.
Offers things out, doesn't it, right? So we block booked an early morning Jet2 flight. 30 flatulent kids in the middle of a plane filled with businessmen and women. Didn't make for the best start. They were passing round sweets and playing games like who could unfurl the bog roll the quickest and who could fart the loudest. I didn't expect the surrounding passengers to get involved, but was quite relieved when they did. Um, when we arrived in Rome, a boss took us to our hotel, but think more digs. The first major incident was when a lad arrived at my door looking slightly sheepish. Sir, the toilet in my room is blocked. Now, in this situation, you can either get a member of the hotel staff to come and have a look, but chances are this is going to show up on your bill. So most teachers will assess the situation at first. Cue me walking into this lad's room, and within 20 minutes, it was a tip. Right? I've tiptoed over empty Haribo packets and straighteners when the most noxious smell of shit was apparent. The toilet that this lad had laid a log in, probably brewing since we'd left the UK, was a bidet.
Oh my God.
Which do you know what? I know people that have done this in the past, and I don't see how you can confuse a toilet and a bidet. If anything, a bidet looks like a little bath. You know what I mean? Mate, horrendous. But yeah, this was certainly a case of me telling the lad to sort it out. I wouldn't be surprised if he and his pal probably ate it as a dare. Do you know, like, someone in my family manages hotels, right? Or works within that industry, but I know they've managed them in the past. And they've told me that it is actually very common within hotels to have like poos on the floor and things like that. And they have, I think it was £50 to pick up the poo. That's what they'd pay the staff to do it, which I'd pick up a poo for 50 quid, mate, easy.
You've just, honestly, that has just triggered something in me when you said £50 poo. Right. I used to work with this lad, right, and he used to work in something to do with tax, right, and an email's gone round saying there's someone smearing shit on the walls.
Hang on, in the toilet, just in the office, like in the boardroom. Who's doing that? Right, okay.
Someone's having a dirty protest. Shit on the wall every evening, and the cleaning company's complaining. But it's actually costing us money because if a cleaner has to clean excrement off a wall, they get a higher rate of pay.
Yeah, which naturally you'd want, wouldn't you?
I think it was ongoing, and it got really. He said it was honestly fucking getting seriously investigated. Do you know what I mean? People were scared to go to the toilet in case it was.
Yeah, we're taking samples of everyone, right? Okay. Sending them off to the lab.
And it turned out, mate, the biggest coup of all time was the cleaner.
Right, hang on. So he's making a bit of extra money.
Cleaner was shitting, smearing it on the wall, getting the higher pay grade.
Mate, even though he's a cleaner, doesn't mean he's got shit for brains. That's initiative, that, isn't it? Yeah.
What? That is an amazing scam. No expenses.
Yeah.
Mate, I think that's one of the best scams of all time, mate.
So how did they find out it was the cleaner?
I don't know, but it turned out it was the cleaner.
That's hilarious.
I don't know if they got caught in the act or they admitted it or whatever, but...
that's initiative, though. Fair play.
Brown-handed.
Mate, there's subtle humour, you know what I mean?
One of the best comedians in my price range.
Yeah. Hang on, it's a long one, this, right? So they've continued there. Right, there was this one student who had a number of issues, shall we say. She was the sort of girl that would talk to literally anyone who would and wouldn't listen and tell them their life story. She had no filter and no volume control. When we were walking round the quiet little streets, all you can hear is this foghorn booming and rippling away any illusion of culture.
I want to go for a pint with this man. I like his bits.
He's got a good sense of humour, isn't he? Right, so this girl, it's probably no surprise, was not liked in the group and even less so in her room. She had the facial expressions of Chunk from the Goonies and did a mean truffle shuffle too, no lie. And had the voice and tone of Zed from Police Academy. You know, the garbled voice guy. Do you know who this person is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "Rrr." So for the benefit of the listener, that's how he sounds. But honestly, she would shout at milk and turn it into yogurt and the other
Oh, yeah. I like this list.
So yeah, she would shout at milk and turn it into yogurt, and talk the other girls in her room into insanity. But more on her later. And this is like similar to what you were saying about you couldn't go into each other's rooms, right? Every night on the school trip, you need to have one teacher on duty in the corridors so that the kids don't get up to anything and everything that they used to on school trips. So you'd have to sit with another member of staff and either chat quietly or read a book and listen out for any murmurings. Some teachers would turn this into a covert operation. After all, kids are sneaky. Sir, can I just pop into Brad's room and get my hairdryer? And then 3 hours later, you realise they've been sexting the girls and it's mayhem. There's going to be no sexting tonight, ladies and gents. And then I message my ex. You're still up. or sometimes I hear the lads chatting about what channel the softcore stuff is on, and you make note. Right. Anyway, I'm camped outside Chunk Zed's room, and she is speaking so loudly that I can hear exactly what she's saying. It's something along the lines of Greg pasties and shagging. See, the person who sent this in hasn't specified at all where the school is, but within that line of Greg pasties and shagging, I immediately thought this has got to be in the north. You know,
it's not Birmingham, definitely.
Yeah, it's got to be like this. No one's saying that if you live in Kent, right? It's too far down. Right. So at this point, fearing I've stumbled into a mountain of paperwork, I knock on the door and say, "Girls, bedtime now," and then listen to check that they followed my request. Naturally, they don't, and you walk away for the good of your career. Actually, I like this teacher. You know what I mean? They've got a good sense of humour. Right, so the head teacher, who was the trip leader and also a stubborn prick, there's no other words to describe him. Rather than giving each group leader their group tickets for the metro, he would insist on feeding each ticket into the machine on his own. One of his phrases or sly digs to me, as I had a crafty cig round the back of a toilet stop, was, "I led by example." Yet as we were waiting in the queue to get into the Sistine Chapel, he was quite literally honking on his e-cig. Now, have you ever been to Rome?
Yeah.
Right, okay. What do you make of it? Because I've been, and I thought it was, my dad loved it, and I thought it was like a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it, but my dad was like, it was like walking through a film set. He buzzed off it, but I've been to the Sistine Chapel.
I went for football reasons. I went
to watch United Roma.
Yeah, well, no, I actually got it was Champions League final, and I missed an A-level exam for it. We got the coach to Rome, but I told my parents that I was staying at my friend's house.
Yeah,
and my friend had said staying at my house, and so we sneaked to Rome. 40 hours on the coach, and we was in a campsite. They built like a bit like like Glastonbury or whatever, but for United fans. Right. Where they're showing old matches, they had music on. It was class.
Did you wear your Veron shoes?
The Champions League final was midweek. So I told my dad, like, "Oh, yeah, I'm staying at Michael's, but I'll probably stay there all the week because his mum's on holiday. I've got an exam on Wednesday. I'll text you how it goes and all that." So we get there Tuesday morning, and then my dad texts me, and he just goes, "Just making sure you had a good," because I said I stayed down the Monday or whatever, and he just went, "Just texting you, making sure you got there, just making sure you're all right at your friend's house and all that." I went, yeah, sound. And he went, "And did you do your exam this morning?" I went, "Yeah, just come out, yeah." And then he goes, "You like bastard, I've just saw you on GMTV."
Just in the background.
They had cameras there, but I just think, they're not British meat, because there's loads of countries it could be, really.
Yeah. You're doing interviews. Yeah, I should really be doing me test at the moment.
And she just, so it's like an interview, but not with me. She just, picked a good looking lad. This was... You know, I'd have only got on her for shoulder 7 times 9. So, and can you four just sit in the background? So I went, yeah, that's fine. So she's interviewing this lad, and we're all sat in the background. And my dad went, I turned on the telly, I went, look, Stenko took a double and he said I nearly choked on my toast. That's my story of Rome.
That's hilarious. So, wait, obviously, hang on, was this 2011?
2009.
No, 2000. I'm thinking of one that's at Wembley, wasn't it? Where, yeah. That's mate. That's balls on you to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was only allowed a sleepover if it was okay with their mum. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it felt good to do it. It felt we felt like we was on the run. It was good.
How old would you have been?
18.
18. Oh, I forget. Yeah, you're older than me, aren't you? I was thinking you might like thinking. I thought like year 11. You know, turning up in your school blazer.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll make this packed lunch last for the week. All right. Fair play though, mate. I like that. Right. So, but you didn't see anything in Rome. Like you didn't do any of the tourist hotspots.
Yeah, I went to the Colosseum and that, but I'm just not impressed by stuff.
See, the Sistine Chapel I went to, right? So I'll tell you what, I'll continue before I mention that because so before we get inside, I suggest that I take a smaller group and lead a tour. Surprisingly, the head agreed, and it was a great moment when some of the cooler kids wanted to be in my group, as do the teachers, and he was left with Chunk Z Girl and a few stragglers. I was loving my new tour guide role and started telling risque jokes to the teachers about the size of Adam's appendage on the ceiling, not realising that I'm radio mic'd up. Cue 20 teenagers and a few staff laughing loudly and a security guard telling me you must leave. Ah, well, it's not every day you hear about a teacher getting thrown out the Sistine Chapel, right? And when I went there, right, because it's all the painted ceiling, it's like a whole room that's been decorated, and I'm not religious, but like I was like, this is impressive. And one of the lads that I was with, right, had been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks. We'd been like interrailing around Europe, and he'd be saying for weeks he just wanted to get on a jet ski, right? And we were heading to Barcelona for the next stop, and he was like, "We'll just get on jet skis."
How old are you at this point?
18.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have been. Telling a lie, I would have been turning 21. Yeah. So right. So. We're walking through the Sistine Chapel, right, and it's silent. You can't say a word in there. So everyone's just looking up, and you just hear like footsteps and that. And he's been going on about these jet skis, and he looks up at them, and he looks down at me, and he goes, "It's good, yeah, but it's not as good as jet skiing." I was like, you can't compare the two, mate. You know what I mean? They're completely different things. But yeah, that's always stuck with me. Right, so we finally get to the airport on a Sunday evening to fly home, and the head announces that he expects to see everyone in school tomorrow at 8 a.m. for a debrief. We were getting a delayed 11 p.m. flight. I know exactly how nightmare, isn't it?
Andy McNabb.
We attack at dawn. So they're getting a delayed 11 p.m. flight back to England. And he tells the kids if they don't turn up to school tomorrow, they'll be excluded. What a way to finish your holiday. Right, so I sat down on a chair and aimed to recline, putting my feet up on my hand luggage, only to have Chunk Z slide up to me with her pink sliders on and perch her and her lamb chop feet on my case as well.
This girl. Fuck. Lamb chop feet.
This is how they finished it, right? I could mention a lot of other things, like creeping into the kids' rooms on the last night and pouring water on their beds so that when they wake up in the morning, they think they've had an accident. All the complaints from the staff about the kids blowing their noses on the sheets and then realising it's actually my room, but I won't. Now, that was the end of theirs, right? And I thought the teacher sounds ace. The head teacher sounds like a nightmare, but The bit when they said, I could mention lots of other things like creeping into the kids' rooms on the last night and pouring water on their beds. I don't know if them kids are actually in the room at the time, because if they are, he's not afraid to push the boundaries, is he, this lad?
Yeah, well, he might be emailing from Strange Ways Library, we don't know.
Yeah, just let me know. I'm in cell block D.
Just been battered for pouring water on my inmate's cell.
Yeah, he thought it was a laugh. Hey, you've wet yourself.
Sharing a cell with Lamb Chop Feet's dad.
Yeah. Piggy's next door. But right, I've been getting the guests to give us a teacher or the student on this one, right? So if you had to pick a side, okay, like if you're for the teacher or against the teacher on it, what would you say?
Me, as an individual, I'm definitely for the teacher. I think it's great.
Me too.
However, if I was on the Ofsted board, I'd probably go a different route. But from a compliance point of view, against him. But in any other aspect of life, you've got to be for that teacher. And if he can tap me up for a pint if he ever sees me at a gig,
I like that. The fact you looked at it from the point of view of Ofsted, and I just imagine them being like, I was having a laugh, and it's like, yeah, that's not on the criteria. All right.
I got used as Ofsted fodder in year 8. We had Ofsted in, and I couldn't swim, and the PE teacher was like he's head teacher now, but this PE teacher, he was an angry little man with a squeaky voice, so. He'd come, PE, really stereotypical PE teacher where it's just berating you, basically. And he used to storm in the dressing room if we're messing out, face full, kicking the cages for football, throwing his bib on the floor, and he'd go, "Late, you what?" Joe Pasquale voice. So he's talking about Ofsted and he's drilling it into us like we don't behave like dickheads. And he went, "Oh, and they're checking the swimming." I couldn't swim, so he went, "Oh, yeah, on Wednesday you've got grommets."
Did you have a pool at your school?
Yeah.
That's top, that.
Yeah, it was haunted though.
Oh, right, okay, hang on. Continue.
It was meant. The myth was it was on. It used to be a nunnery way back ages ago.
Right.
It's haunted by 2 nuns apparently.
What, doing breaststroke?
Oh, mate, the pool. Oh, this is right. The last day, year 11 was a fucking oh, mate, such a sick day, right? So this has just come to me as well. Two really good stories here, right? Now I won 2 awards in my school life. Year 10 best in English. And an award on year 11 Leavers Day, right? I've still got the year 10 award. My mum's still got it, pride of place in her bedroom, right? The other one has been confounded to history. I'll tell you why. The build up to this Leavers Assembly, right? Our head of year, should I say, Mr. Armsby. He was all right. He was a bit of a knob. He used to chat shit. Joe, he used to give assemblies where he'd go. He'd just make up some story, Joe, to try and teach moral. But
bit like you in a bank robbery.
Sorry, get on black. But it was a bit like Jay from In Between Us, but in a team.
Right, yeah.
But in a team form. He went, because one of them, I was playing football the other, on Sunday. He was talking about work ethic or whatever. And the ball goes out for a throw-in, and who kicks me the ball? Roy Keane walking his dog, and he went, "You're a good player, you." Just think that bullshit. And he used to wear bit like cowboy boots. They weren't cowboy boots, but they made a clipping sound, Joe, when they walked on a corridor.
Yeah.
The like a stereo,
like a heel.
Yeah,
I get what you mean.
It's like a heel. That heel sound. When he'd walk into a classroom, he'd open the door like it was a saloon door, and like the fucking Clint Eastwood walked in. That's what he was like.
Yeah.
It's like, try and do it as a surprise, like just burst the door open and just stand like
2 staple guns on his hips.
Yeah, stand and observe that people are doing well because you want to catch you at it. It's that kind of person. One day, I'm on a tangent here, but this is brilliant. This was I've never achieved comic timing as good as this, right? I wish I could take credit for it, but it's that good. I just can't, right? So Ormsby's known for this, like bursting door open with his clipping shoes, like his Clint Eastwood. We're doing a mock exam in class, in science class, and Ormsby burst in, door swings open, clipping shoes. He looks all, like smouldering like Clint Eastwood. And my mate on his phone just pressed play and it went. Like, broke it, mate. It was fucking superb. Mate, I just at the time he was shut because he let him stand there for about 3 seconds before. Oh, mate, one of the best moments ever. Anyway, that's just an insight to Mr. Ormsby, quite serious guy. So he's saying we're going to have some end of year awards, a bit like Oscars, where you can vote for your friend to win an award or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's cringy as fuck, but the kids could make up their own categories and all that. And if they got enough votes, it's like a petition system. If you got over 30 votes or whatever, then they got an award on Leavers Day. But he went, we're not having anyone trying to do anything that's bullying, like fattest of the year or whatever, or ugliest of the year. We're not standing for that, and you'll get disciplined. Don't want any joke ones, right? I hear this rumour start flying about me and an award I'm getting. I see it as an insult or bullying. It fall into the bullying category. So if he's not going to let it wash, right? Gets their Leavers Day, right? So some awards have been announced, all like nicest girl of the year, shit like that. And he just goes, right, the next award. And I know he's in because I can smell him already. 2007 Tramp of the Year, Jamie Hutchinson. And I have to walk from the back of the assembly hall to the front.
That's brutal.
And then all the kids start going, Tramp, 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 Tramp. And I'm there like that, but I'm proper like, I'm dying inside. But
yeah.
He said, I'll let them do it because I know you'd take it in good humour and all that. So, well, that's a bit of a risk, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, that was Leavers Day. Got off to a flyer for the.
So that was your head teacher that put you through that.
Yeah.
Head of year, right? But the head teacher then was that little your PE teacher, the one that was a nightmare.
No, he's head teacher now. After I'd gone. We so
the character building that Jamie.
So part 2 of Leavers Day. You're all a bit hyper, you're signing shirts, all that kind of stuff. All sort of hijinks is going on. Now, we had this swimmer in our year, Chris Rains. Mate, he'd beat a shark.
Yeah.
He's one of them kids that's just unnatural. Like, he had gills.
Right.
He was rapid. Like, say, he used to represent England, like, do you know what I mean? He was proper elite level. So, say if when we was doing like interform days, so when we played each other at football, different sports.
Yeah.
If it was swimming, because he was in my form, Chris, so we had a guaranteed medal on the board for swimming.
Yeah.
Swimming and water polo, right? So if we was doing swimming, it was a 2-length race. All the other people had a 1-length head start, and he'd still win. That's how good he was, mate. It was, mate. I can't. He used to dive in and then just be at the other end of the pool. So it was.
What's his name?
Chris Rains.
Chris Rains. Is he still swimming now?
No. He gave up like competitively when he was like 15 or whatever. He was just youth level, unbelievable, mate. It was class. So anyway, it was a bit. The swimming teacher was a bit of a knob. Right. Old guy, bit of a fucking knobhead. And there was a rumour flying around that he'd been swimming teacher there for like 30 years. And there was a rumour going around that he couldn't swim. despite he could swim. That was one of them rumours that just get out of hand. And you went, I fucking swim.
People getting him armbands for Secret Santas and all that.
On the last day, he's by the pool. Like, one of them weird gardeners. Like Arthur Fowler in EastEnders, who loved his allotment. He's a bit like that with his. A bit of a dated reference, but so like takes pride in the pool.
Yeah.
Like don't want to see any inflatables in there and take pH samples. He was that kind of freak. Right? Is this pool? Don't get it wet. That kind of thing. So he's by the pool, and a few of us have gone by. Chris Rains the leader. Now they have like a love-hate relationship. It's a bit like Fergie and Beckham. Like they both needed each other, but they hated each other. Do you know what I mean? On the last day, Chris had been battered by him. He's one of them like proper air dryer treatments, to try and get him better and all that kind of stuff. Where I think Chris would have benefited more from an arm around the shoulder. But a
shoulder shot. In
Red, cat's type. Mr. Shaw.
Terrific player. Terrific, yeah.
Mr. Shaw, right? He's by the pool side, obviously, like as he always is. And Chris Rains going, someone's left something at the bottom of the pool there. And Shaw's like, what? And leans over. Chris Rains pushes him in to see if he could swim. Mate, it was fucking carnage. It was all running down the corridor. And we looked back, and he did like something proper comic book style. He put his fist in the air and went, Rains!
As he, like up to his chest in water.
Well, he could swim, and he dispelled the so he should be.
Yeah, he could swim. His feet could touch the bottom.
Yeah, so he should be grateful.
That's bold. That. I suppose as it was the last day as well. Did he get any flack off that, Chris?
They threatened him with not letting him sit his GCSEs.
Jesus. Yeah, that's bold, that, mate. What was the other one? You say in English you got your award?
Yeah, I got best in English in year 10.
Because we spoke about this after gigs and stuff like that, but you're actually like, you enjoy writing, don't you?
I used to.
Used to, not anymore, because you've written some decent poems and stuff, haven't you?
Oh, decent.
What was the one you told me about? Was it for Innocent Smoothie?
Oh no. That was a dark day. That's it.
But you're like, no.
That's like that's like a locked filing cabinet in my mind warehouse.
Armed guards around it.
Yeah, I used to. I basically, when I had all this surge of creativity and didn't really know how to, express it because I didn't know how to start doing stand-up. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell it then. What did you think at school you wanted to be a stand-up?
Yeah, I did my first. I tried stand-up when I was 8 in a talent contest.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Right. Well, mind you were coming into your heyday. You probably thought this is the time. This is the time.
But I used to write plays and stories, and I was really, really good at English. Like I got, if you're doing an essay on a book or whatever, I used to get like top marks and stuff like that. Things. My English teacher said he could go on to be a novelist, a playwright, and write TV shows. He's just got everything. So my English teacher was one that really, I was a bit like a teacher's pet, where she proper big me up and everything. So I just got. But then when you kind of leave school and you don't have to write, kind of lost that a little bit, lost that creativity and stuff. Like even when I'm writing stand up, I rarely write it. It's kind of just comes to me, and I don't have much written down.
So like throughout lockdown, then have you found it just like Well, yeah, you've not written anything.
No, throughout lockdown, I've actually started a novel to try and get myself writing. But
I think you might have told me about this briefly.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I'm cutting you off here. I'll let you explain.
Like I say, I started a year ago, and I'm very stop-start on it. Whereas when I was in my heyday, I'd write loads and loads and loads and loads. But yeah, I used to send. I only had this surge of creativity. It was about 18, 19. So I knew I wanted to start stand-up, but didn't really know how to start. Do you know what I mean? I had these ideas for shows. All these daft ideas that I wanted to express somehow, and I just wanted to get it out there in some way. And I thought, like Innocence movies, you have like wacky packaging. Or wackaging, if you listen to the Ellis John podcast, they just call it wackaging, don't they? And I cringe at it now. When I see wackaging now, it really makes me toe curl. I wanted to add to it, so I'd email Innocent Movies, cringy ideas and stuff like that. Write poems to the local paper. But that was all a precursor into trying stand up. It was all building up towards getting the confidence to start stand up.
So that's interesting though, because like I enjoy poetry, but like in terms of writing it, I would never. It wouldn't be like something I would go to immediately. Yeah. But like it was like through that, then you started writing jokes and whatnot.
Yeah. I'd written this newsletter for Tameside Council, and that was kind of when I got there, it was dead dry and stuff. And then I can I write it from now on, because no one really reads it anyway. Can I just write it? So I had a task then to write. So I got in the flow of writing, and I just used to add little jokes here and there in the newsletter. And then I just thought, fuck it, I'm going to give it a try, and did Comedy Billion, and then here we are.
Because like the stuff I've seen you pump out on Twitter over the past few weeks, because I know you've worked a lot in call centre and stuff like that. But have you scripted them before, or are you just saying it, like off the cuff, so to speak?
No, it's. I know what the punchline is. I know how to get there. So the odd word might be different. But like
they're good though.
The jester one, I had the idea, and I just bought a jester costume, and then bought a jester costume just to do it, and then filmed it the day. So I'd have an idea, and I'd film it the day after, so I don't lose that enthusiasm for it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, are you going to do more of them?
I'm just taking it on if an idea comes to me, I'll do
it. I'm definitely going to tell people to check out your Twitter feed, because them videos you put up are piss funny.
Yeah, they're not very high up or anything. Just scroll down, go on, just find them. There's about, how many is there? 4 or 5 videos, I think.
They're good.
Yeah, nice one, mate. J Hutchie _91. Nice and easy to find, nice and marketable, that, innit? So J Hutchie _91. If I do finish my book, I'll come back on the podcast and plug it, if that's all right.
By all means, mate. That was great to have Jamie on the show, and I told you that award he got at school was brutal. I mean, to stand on stage and have a room full of people shout "tramp" at you, with the fact that a teacher's instigated it, that's character building. But yeah, A-star Jamie on the show. Massive thank you to the teacher that sent that one in. I mean, if you've got any more that spring to mind, you know where to find me. I would love to make more episodes, and if they're anything like that story, I imagine they will be absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much. Next week's episode is a special edition, as my guest is Alexander Price, who is the man behind the blog The Provoked Pedagogue. You might have heard me speak about this a couple of weeks ago, but he was in the news for having recently been struck off for 2 years after his anonymous blog, which he wrote about his time at a school, came to light at the school he worked in. When I first saw the news article on the BBC, I thought there's way more to this than meets the eye, because he'd said within the article what he said's been taken completely out of context. And, if you read all the blogs in their entirety, you would realise it's not come from a mean-spirited angle. I've since read the blogs, and having spoken to Alex, it is impossible not to think that he has been massively twisted and moulded to kind of fit the bracket that the school and, you know, the media want it to come across as. We had a really good conversation, and it's very enlightening, I would say. So definitely stick around for it, because the ongoings within that school and the level of corruption that was going on, when you compare, you know, a man who used an anonymous blog as an exercise just to have a bit of fun and release some stress, to, you know, a school that is incredibly corrupt and management that are abusing their position of authority. You can't compare the two, in my opinion. They're like worlds apart in terms of what's morally right and wrong. So it was really, really good to sit and speak to him, and I think it's made for a very, very good episode. So there'll be no story next week that I'll be sharing apart from Alex's story, and you know, we talk about the blog, as I say, and the ongoings within the school. But it is very, very interesting, and yeah, well worth sticking around for, because it makes you feel like you've got to know the full story before you can make a judgment on something. And I'm really, really happy that he agreed to chat to me. But yeah, until then, look after yourselves and take it easy. The Staff Room podcast is produced by me, Harry Stachini, artwork by Poppy Spinks, and the soundtrack by James McGraw.